Tonight, fresh details emerge over course of Ayawaso West Wagon by-election violence as East Legon District Police Commander discloses what sparked the violence, leading to the firing of gunshots.
According to them, they were fired by the task force team. The security men approached them that why have they parked these motorbikes here? And one of the security men wanted to take one of the motorbikes, and the people said no. That was what degenerated into all those violence.
We will interrogate that, plus hear from the commander on how he was sidelined from the election security operation.
Ideally, the district commander in whose jurisdiction the by-election is supposed to be held should be part of the exercise. But in my case, that did not happen. And the Legon commander's name was also not in the list.
Well, more on that as we interrogate the issues arising on day 2 of the commission probing the Ayawaso by-election violence.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Top Story is always brought to you by Bond. Your success, our passion, is also brought to you by Gasem Cement, the nation builder. Vodafone, the future is exciting, ready, and Nationwide Health Insurance, your healthcare family. Tonight, there are fresh details emerging from the course of the January 31 Ayawaso West Wagon by-election violence, which left at least 15 people injured. Since the violence broke out, government officials had indicated all along that it was sparked after national security operatives stormed the NDC candidate's residence in Bawaleshi, following intelligence that suggests some weapons were being hidden in that particular building. The warehouse has been singled out. In fact, when Minister of State in charge of National Security, Brian Champon, yesterday appeared before the Justice and Short Commission of Inquiry probing the violence, he told the members the information they received prompted the development of operatives, the deployment rather, of operatives to deal with the threat of supposed weapons in the warehouse.
Shots coming out of this house. They approached the house. At that point, they were being pelted with stones. They fired warning shots from outside the building, apparently. When they fired the warning shots and everybody was running away, the gate of this warehouse was locked. They only managed to arrest 9 people in front of the gate. So they didn't enter the property, which I think that it was faulty. They should have gone in and completed their mission. If they go in and they don't find weapons, at least I would have been satisfied.
So that was the cause of the firing of the shots, of the warning shots, according to Brian Champon. But when he appeared before the commission today, East Legon District Police Commander DSP George Asari's account was different.
It was about the same thing that all of them were saying, that they were fired by the team that came there, the task force team. And as to who fired those shots, I didn't get it. But according to them, they were fired by the task force team.
And were you able to find out exactly the circumstances under which these shots were fired? Did you get any information about what transpired, whether there was a dispute, there was an argument as a result of which these shots were fired?
The information I gathered at the scene from the people at the scene. The whole thing took place at the frontage of the NDC parliamentary candidate's house. That's where it happened. So people were there in their numbers. And according to them, they were there and then the security men approached them that why have you parked these motorbikes here? And one of the security men wanted to take one of the motorbikes. And the people said no. And the people said no. And that was what degenerated into all those violence.
Okay. Did you interview the NDC parliamentary candidate?
My lord, I made an attempt to do so. He wasn't in the house. The man wasn't in the house before I got there. But whilst we were there engaging the people to calm down, this time round, we had even climbed the stairs. There's another story building in front of the house. So we climbed the stairs, the outer staircase, just to get the people and then address them. But because of the way the boys were behaving, he couldn't listen to us.
Now, you said those with gunshot wounds were not brought to my station.
Yes, my lord.
Yeah. Do you know where they were taken to?
My lord, they were taken to Legon Hospital.
Okay, Legon Hospital.
Yes, my lord.
So you had the East Legon District Police Commander DSP George Asari, who also today before the commission claimed that it was his team that he led to the scene that managed to deal with the situation and calm the situation, the violence down and disperse the crowd, etc. He says he dealt with that situation and managed to deal with it and calm the tensions there. And he says that the shooting incident appeared to have happened because of a scuffle over a motorbike. But there's more that we heard from him that may, I guess, point to why he may not be privy to the intelligence that Brian Champon had talked about, for which region they had acted on. And my colleague Joseph Akable was at the commission all day and joins me in the studio. Joseph, DSP George Asari's appearance today, he took a long time, and because he had a lot to say, including the fact that he was apparently sidelined, although this election was in his district.
Yes, so he explained that the ideal situation is that once an election is taking place within a district, the expectation is that a district commander is supposed to be part of that team, but unfortunately he wasn't part, so he had to explain that to the commission.
Per our structures, I am the one in charge the district, and the performance of duties within the district, I'm in charge.
So then, will it be me to suggest that if an election, for instance, is being within a constituency, your district, you will play a role as far as security is concerned?
My lord, ideally, the district commander in whose jurisdiction the by-election is supposed to be held should be part of the exercise. But in my case, that did not happen.
And is there any reason why that did not happen?
My lord, this question can best be answered by the regional commander and the regional operational team headed by Chief Subtenant Kwesi Fori.
So, if I get you right, what you are trying to tell the commission is that until you are instructed by the regional commander, you don't play any role. Is that what you are saying?
My lord, that is not what I mean. But in this particular instance, I was of the view that the authorities, the regional command, would allow the system to operate. But this time round, it happened to the extent that I complained that why is it that as a district officer, where a by-election is going to be held, I have been asked to stay aside, said that my command car was taken away from me by the regional commander, that I should let my driver bring the pickup to Accra region.
Would it be a problem if you should tell the commission who asked you to stay aside? Who are you referring to?
Referring to the regional commander.
When? I'll give you this information.
A day before the by-election, we're all called to Accra region.
Very well.
All the senior officers. And I was of the view that I will be made to be part of the exercise. I realized that my name wasn't in it. I complained, firstly, to Kwesi Fori. Worry. They will take care of it.
So that is the Legon District Police Commander there, talking about how he was sidelined and his vehicle also commandeered and asked to simply, not part of the processes. But Akable, however, he got involved in the wake of the shooting incident, although he was not supposed to be part, although he has been sidelined according to his own words, and his vehicle taken away from him. Somehow he mobilized his men and was on the scene when the gunshots were fired. Explain what happened.
So he explains that he was on his way to vote because he votes in that constituency. While heading to his polling station to vote, the regional commander for Greater Accra, who had told him not to be part of the process, then called him that they had picked information that there were some incidents of violence at La Baweleshi, so he should head there. He says when he arrived, he realized that the district commander who had been brought over to lead the team, he was being surrounded by residents and he appeared not to have the situation under control. But when he went in, because he was tactical, that is the word he used, he was able to calm tempers and manage to bring the situation under control.
So that is how he got involved. Yes. And he was emphatic to point out that although I was sidelined, the same person who sidelined me then calls me. And then there's a part that he says, when I mobilized my men, those same men that were sidelined.
In fact, the commission tried to suggest to him that isn't it the case that he went with 5 additional men and so the numbers increased? And he said no. When he got there, he realized that he had to be tactical. And by being tactical, he identified the ringleaders for the residents who were agitating. So he pulled the 3 ringleaders aside. He spoke to them, asked them their concern. It was at that point that he managed to calm them down.
This account of his had been challenged quite vigorously by one of the commission members, you see, former IGP himself, Patrick Echampo.
They had the commission members had questioned him about whether he thinks he may not have been sidelined because of his performance, because he had again supplied information to the commission that during the 2016 election, he was in a different district, and once again, he was not allowed to be part of the election task force team for that district. So questions were raised about whether it couldn't be the case that could it be the case that it's because he's not competent enough, that's why he wasn't added. But he insisted that he doesn't think that is the case, and that he believes that he's competent enough, and he doesn't want to compare the two situations and conclude that it's enough evidence to generalize because he has participated in other elections where he was assigned to take part in policing the ballots.
There's also been some considerable amount of controversy surrounding how many shots were fired and how many people have been were injured. Yesterday, the National Security Minister Kandapa remarkably mentioned that there were 6 warning shots fired by the team that was deployed there, and that it did not injure anybody.
When the SWAT team later attempted to go closer to the house, the inmates started pelting them with stones. Later, they also said they heard gunshots coming from within the compound of the house. Our boys then gave some 6 warning shots, which they tell me did not hit anybody.
Okay, so what is the East Legon District Police Commander's account of how many shots were fired by who?
So he says when he got to the place of the violence, he first saw some perforation in a structure, a container that was close by, and he counted 4 holes. Aside from the 4 holes, he also saw that the residents had some empty shells. And he was asked how many shells there were. In fact, he kept saying there were many. When he was pushed to put a number, he said there were more than 20 empty shells.
Okay, so these are shells that the residents had collected, that he took from the residents. Is that what it is?
He tried to take it from them. They refused to give it to him. He asked them which people had fired those shots. They were told that according to the residents who were agitating, they told him that they were fired by the SWAT team that had come over.
And they put a number more than 20?
More than 20.
There were many, my lord.
Many?
If I'm not mistaken, they were holding them. I'm not mistaken, it will be over 20 per what I saw.
Okay. And were you able to find out the source of these empty shells? Who had, fired these gunshots? The empty shells that you saw, were you able to determine who had fired these gunshots? Did you investigate to find out?
Yes, I inquired. But the information they gave me was that they were fired by the task force team that came there.
So that is his own account as well. More than 20 shells that he counts himself. And he's not the only person who appeared before the commission today. I know that the Director of Operations for the Ghana Police Service, DCOP George Alex Mensah, also appeared before the commission and spoke about the police SWAT vehicle, which has been a source of controversy when it took its turn at the commission today. He insisted a vehicle in which marksmen, mass security operatives were conveyed to the Bauleshi is not a pool of vehicles owned by the police service, really corroborating the position expressed by the Interior Minister yesterday.
Now, has the fact that they were using a police vehicle also come to your attention?
Yes, my lord.
Have you subsequently sought to investigate as to how they came across or they came by the vehicle?
No, my lord. What I've found out is that vehicle is not part of the vehicles under my command.
Is there any reason for that belief?
Lord, the belief referring to?
I mean, you are very sure that that vehicle It's not part of your fleet.
Yes, my lord.
Yes, and I'm asking you, what informs that? What makes you so sure?
Because I know the fleet of vehicles under the National Operations Department, and that vehicle is not part of it.
Very well. Could you give us specifics? What about that vehicle makes you say so confident that it's not part of your fleet?
My lord, the National Operations Department has never used that kind of vehicle before. Never since I took over, I've never seen that vehicle at the National Operations Department.
If you say kind, are you referring to the make?
The make.
It has been reported that on the day of the incident, a certain Director General of Operation was interviewed and he completely denied knowledge of these masked men. Would you say you are the one?
That is so, my lord.
Now, you have indicated to the commission that as far as you know, the electoral election task force of the day included various units. How were these different units coordinated?
Lord, there's always a meeting among these units, and that's how it's coordinated.
Did you, for instance, have an operation headquarters?
Yes, my lord.
And where was that?
At the national headquarters.
National headquarters. And would you able to tell the commission what the chain of command was on the day in reference to the election task force?
The chain of command was from the IGP to the Director General Operations to the Accra Regional Commander.
And this chain is for all the various units. Is that so? Or it's only limited to the police?
It's limited to the police. But all the units that were to take part in monitoring or policing the election were doing so on behalf of the police. So they all come under the command of the police command.
So there you have it. That's the Director of Operations, the Ghana Police Service, DCOP George Alex Mensah, and he was emphatic, Joseph, today about that he really genuinely did not know about, he didn't know these marksmen.
Yes.
Because yesterday there was some suggestion from, I think, Kandapa.
Yes, that it was because he had just alighted from a vehicle, and that was why he said he didn't know them. But he explained that he responded to the question in two ways. The first was whether he knew that some marksmen were doing something. He said he didn't know them. And secondly, whether he was aware that a SWAT team from National Security had been deployed. He still said he didn't know them. And in fact, he still insisted that as it stands now, he still doesn't know those men, including even men from the police service that have been seconded and are currently with the National Security, that we are told by the National Security Minister were part of the deployment as the SWAT team on the given day.
And that corroborates the Interior Minister's position as well, that
Yes.
the IGP also told him that he's also not aware of who these people are. The Electoral Commission chairperson, Madam Jim Mensah, also appeared earlier before the commission. She told the commission members the violence that occurred in Bawaleshi stalled voting there.
Yes, as far as the La Bawaleshi police station was concerned, it affected it for close to 45 minutes because voting there came to a standstill. I also believe that the gunshots and so on and the stories carried out would have an effect on that police station in particular.
Could frighten some people.
Would frighten people from coming there.
There are reports of persons purported to have come from the National Security who were actually armed at some polling stations. Are you aware of that?
Not at all. From the reports we have received from our field officers who were monitoring, there were no armed security personnel at any of the 137 polling stations.
Now, you said you have cited the Kodeo report.
Yes.
That report makes it very clear that there were masked armed men at some polling stations. What do you have to say about that?
I still stand by the reports we have received that there were no masked armed men at any of the polling stations. Indeed, we've done some extensive investigation. When we received the report from Kodeo, we went ahead to interview our presiding officers in the polling stations located in the prisons in Roman Ridge, and they all confirmed, and we have it in writing, that there was no abuse of a policeman in that polling station.
So this is now very categorical. Remember that Jim Mensah had done a press conference and challenged that Kodeo report. Now she says they have written statements from the presiding officers in Ayawaso, who all confirmed they never saw this happen.
In fact, she tendered some evidence to the commission, and these are names of the 5 police officers who were stationed at that particular polling station. Now, she says the 5 officers said they were not assaulted. So the evidence she gave to the commission has the names and also has the contact details of the officers, so that if the commission feels they need to contact them, they can reach out to them. They can reach out to them.
That is a fundamental contradiction. And yesterday, if you listen to us, we spoke to the Codeo member as well, also with CDD, who still said that they still stood by that account. And because yesterday, I think Kandapa, Brian Champon, all of them were categorical that
they didn't think that's happened.
Yeah, that happened.
But the AC chairperson admits that they were informed that there was some disagreement and a verbal exchange. It had to do with a sitting arrangement where the officers were supposed to sit. But she says eventually her presiding officer, who has also written a report which has been tendered to the commission, was able to calm down tempers and voting continued.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much, Joseph. Let's quickly get the thoughts of the chief executive of the Security Warehouse Limited, who's been following this all day as well, Mr. Adams Bonner. Mr. Bonner, so here we go again today. Police chiefs appearing now after their bosses have appeared yesterday. Of particular interest is the East Legon District Police Commander, DSP, who had been very categorical in talking about how he has been sidelined, although the elections were in his district. And then we heard from DCOP George Alex Mensah, head of Director of Operations, who also emphasized that, the vehicle he didn't know, but also was not aware of the individuals who were in marks who were at the scene. What's your reaction to what had unfolded today, if you haven't listened to what happened yesterday?
Yes. Good evening to your listeners, Evans. For me, what I will take it from where the Director General Operation Alex Mensah, DCOP, I'll take it from, his point. He, this morning, confirmed what we already have been told. He confirmed the police, what the police have told us they know, and he confirmed what the Interior Minister told us he knows about this whole violence. And so I am not surprised with regards to, his testimony. And the fact remains that the vehicle, as, he did indicate, doesn't belong to them. It's not in the pool of the police vehicles. It's not there. And so they've never seen it. They've never cited it, but it has, police endorsement. The probably one thing that I thought I could hear him say was the police vehicle didn't have a GP registered. It's not GP registered. I had, police endorsement. And the other thing, I think another question that was posed to him had to do with the police officers, whether he knows them. And he said no. I would take it from a point of view where anybody at all could be put in a marks. And then the person is put out there to say the person is a police officer. And so, assuming there was an identification parade and you wore people marks, it would have been difficult to identify these people, let alone say they are police officers. And so this goes further to, confirm some of us, the suspicion we have. Are they indeed police officers? If they were, why are they in marks? And so I'm hoping that the Administration Commission would invite each and every one of those 25 police officers. Let's see them for the first time by face. And probably we can then take their, their structure or make and see and compare that to the videos we have. If we can't see their face, we can compare their look in terms of body structure and all that they are make, to see whether these people indeed are those who are in the marks. So with regards to Alex Mensah, I would say he only came to confirm most of the things that they've already told us in the past. But with regards to the East Legon police officer, if you ask me, I would say that he kept saying the ideal situation. The police don't work with ideal situations. They work with operation. They have a structure. And that structure, you have to go by the structure. And as far as I know, and I've checked, the East Legon Police Station is a district, and it comes under the airport division. If you know the structure or the security, the police architecture in terms of structure, you would understand that you start from the headquarters. From the headquarters, it goes to the region. From the region, it goes to the divisions. And then it goes down to a police post or something like that. And so he is in the East Legon district. And so, as far as I know, we saw in the video, an immigration officer who was, I think he was running away. That's the way it looked, from the scene at La Baoleshi. And La Baoleshi comes directly under, I think, East Legon. And so, how come, immigration officers will be deployed at a place closer and you would not be deployed? I just feel, if you ask me, from the way he answered Evans, I could feel bitterness because his pickup was taken. And so he is not excited. And if he says he was sidelined, how are you sidelined?
But if he felt bitter, and in fact, if you listen to the way the former IGP, who is a member of the commission, also probed him, he also seemed to have gotten the same impression. But the question is, wouldn't he be justified to feel that way?
Well, Evans, I believe that professionally, you can't say I'm bitter, so I won't do my work. So if he was deployed, it doesn't matter whether professionally. If you are a career police officer, you put your feelings aside and do your professional job. If you finish doing your professional job, it is up to you to go home and probably go and cry. And so for me, I just feel that if you just alluded to the fact that the former IG grilled him. I haven't seen that before. Grilled him so much. It tells you that he probably might have forgotten or sitting in front of one of the best IGs we've had in this country.
And also because he has been an IG before, he understands how the police work, and he pointed out a few of the things that he believes he did not, address properly in terms of the way police itself is supposed to work. And I'm grateful that you joined us, Adam, but I want to join us because on Ghana Connect in a few minutes, this is a citizens' conversation. You've heard the police chiefs speak. What is your verdict?
Financial services.